you know it ain't right. You knew it wasn't right. You can hear, I knew it. You can hear it. Why would you keep on going on? Hey man, I've been a professional audio engineer for over a decade now, but I've made so many amateur mistakes along my way that I want to make sure that you don't step in the same pile of What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Wavy Wayne from WavyWayne.com, and this channel is all about helping you to record and mix better and faster. Now today we're going to be talking about some of the most amateur mistakes that I've ever made. The top mistakes that I don't want to see nobody else make, man. So let's just go ahead and get right into the video. One of the first things on my list is a big one, man, and this really has a lot to do with affecting your recordings and your mixes. Have you ever mixed something and then you took it out to the car and it just didn't sound right? Or you recorded something and then you had a hell of a hard time trying to mix it because the recordings wasn't right? Well, a lot of times that has to do with the treatment in your room. It's important to use acoustic treatment in a studio environment. Now, there's a lot of different ways nowadays that we can go about it. You can get panels, you can build panels, and I actually created a video to show you how to build the panels. I'll link them below. You can build your own panels, you can use some diffusion, you can use some blankets, whatever it is. If you're recording, maybe you make a isolation booth so that you're not picking up so many reflections. Inside your mixing environment, you need to make sure that you're treating the reflections in that room so that you are actually hearing what's coming out of the speakers and not what's bouncing around the room. So that's going to be the first thing, is neglecting room treatment. Please just don't go set that mic up in that butt naked room and start recording. Please don't just set them speakers up in that butt naked room and start mixing. Take some time to figure out what's happening acoustically in your environment and fix it. So the next mistake on my list, the next very amateur mistake actually, is going to be mixing too loud. All right. Now listen, you don't want to mix too loud, and you also don't want to mix too quietly. There's a thing called the Fletcher-Munchkin curve, or I just really call it the equal loudness curve. And it basically tells us that as humans, our ears are more sensitive to certain frequencies than others. Make sure you go Google that so you can find out exactly what's happening there. And there's an ideal level that we should be mixing at to hear most frequencies at about the same level, perceived level, right? So mixing too loudly is going to mask things in your mix. It's going to even accentuate the problems that you might be having in your room, to piggyback off of the first thing. So turn that volume down. Not only can you make better choices at lower levels, you're going to be hearing more accurately so that the mix will translate. Oftentimes, I always tell people, whatever you do mixing wise, when the level is low, is going to sound good when you turn it up. Vice versa is not always the same. If I'm making changes while my mix is blaring super loud, when I turn it down, I might not like those changes so much. They may not really work in the mix. All right. So don't make that mistake. Don't mix too loud. When it comes to mixing too loud, that's one thing. But before we can even get to the mixing, we need to talk about recording too loudly. I just opened up a session right now from a client who has clipping tracks, right? The clipping audio. I think that's what actually prompted this on my list today. They're like, man, recording too loud. I can't believe that in this day and age, people are still recording too loud. One of the first things you need to do is always watch your meters. And honestly, in this day and age with the super quiet audio interfaces, it's probably better to record too quietly than it is to record too loud. Once you record too loud and you're starting to see that red on your meters, you're going over 0 dBFS. That means that basically you're clipping, there's no more headroom. You're going to start to introduce distortion, right? Unwanted distortion, unwanted noise and artifacts into your mix, because you are basically hitting that ceiling and then your computer is having to figure out what to do after you hit the ceiling, right? Now, make sure you always keep your eyes on the meters while you're recording. Don't have that preamp up too loud. And remember, if you are recording in Pro Tools or any DAW, most DAWs have absolutely no way to control the microphone input level. You can only do that in 3 ways. There's going to be adjust the gain on your preamp, actually moving the microphone closer or further away from the source, or turning the source volume up or down. Now, nothing inside of your DAW will actually attenuate that input level. So bringing that fader down on a track that's clipping is actually just going to make your clipped sound a little bit quieter. So make sure you take into account those things and turn down that preamp if you need to, but more importantly, keep your eyes on the meters as the dynamics can change throughout the course of a recording. This next mistake is for my homie, man. He called me up the other day like, yo, Wavy, I can't figure this out, blah, blah, blah. I need your help troubleshooting something in the studio. One of the first things I told him to do, man, I was like, hey, man, did you read the manual? He's like, yeah, you know I read the manual. I wouldn't call you first because I know that's what you're going to say. So as audio engineers, man, we often, you know, and myself included, man, I used to hate reading manuals, but now I love it because it tells me so much about either whether it's a plugin, a DAW, a piece of hardware. Knowing how the manufacturer intended for it to be used can help you so much. It's going to help you to be faster. It's going to help you to use it more efficiently, whatever it is. So whatever it is that you're working on, whether it's a plugin, a DAW, your microphone even, read that manual. At least skim through it and see if there's some basic information that you might not have known about this particular piece of gear, all right? So please don't call me. Don't call for help. Don't go to Google looking for stuff if you ain't even cracked that manual open yet. If your device or software didn't come with the manual, most of the time you can always just Google the PDF, find it, download it, open it up, and read it, all right? The next thing on my list of amateur mistakes is gonna be for all my procrastinators out there. Just not getting started, right? And this could be whether you're an artist, an engineer, a producer, whatever it is, man. I am a big believer of move fast and break things, all right? Especially when it comes to the digital world. You don't have to be afraid to open up a plugin, click every knob around in there, open up your DAW, move everything, reconfigure settings, open every menu, change stuff, turn stuff around, right? That's how we learn, and that's how you're going to find things that work for you. But if you are kind of stuck in an analysis paralysis, you won't ever get anything done. So a big amateur mistake is just not getting started, not feeling like you have enough experience, not feeling like you have enough knowledge, not feeling like you don't have the clients or whatever, the money, whatever it is. Get started with what you have. I don't want to hear that you wait until you get a new interface till you record, because most time we don't even need interfaces to record now. If you got a built-in microphone on your laptop, start recording. You hear me? All right, so keep that in mind. Don't make the mistake of not getting started. Don't make the mistake of just sitting back and waiting until everything is situationally is perfect and then getting started, because I tell you what, it's never going to be perfect. There'll always be something that is going to be in your way, so you can choose to step over it and get busy, or you can choose to stand there and wait. This is a huge one. Shout out to all my Wavy Seals Elites. I've been working with the Wavy Seals Elite. That's my membership group where we basically meet up. I offer mentorship to them, give exclusive lessons and all that. But one thing that we have been seeing during the mix of the month is basically a program within our group where we all mix the same song, and we have like a mix contest every single month. If you're interested in joining, the link will definitely be down in the description. But with that mix of the month, a lot of times what I'll hear is that, hey, y'all got some good mixes, but then you get over to the mix bus and you ruin it because you're squashing it too hard with limiters, too much mix bus processing. So the big amateur mistake that I want to point out here is using too much mix bus processing, squashing your mix with the limiter, EQing too drastically, adding some crazy widening effects and stuff that change the phasing of the mix, all of that, right? Don't be too heavy on mix bus processing, especially as an amateur, because you might have a pretty good mix going on with dynamics and you know, details and everything, and then you get over and you throw an L2 on your mix bus and ruin it all, okay? So please take my advice right now. Do not make the amateur mistake of using too much mix bus processing, squashing that mix down to the flow. This next amateur mistake probably come from all my FL Studio users or something. But man, honestly, I do not want to see y'all make the mistake of putting time-based effects directly on tracks in your mix. Now, what that means is like taking a reverb plugin and inserting it directly on that vocal track. The reason being is that you lose all control over how that reverb sounds, and you lose control over how your vocal sounds independently of the reverb. Now, before, so recent times, most plugins didn't have a little mix control where you probably saying, hey, Wavy, my reverb plugin has this mix control, this wet dry control to where I can say, hey, I don't want that much reverb and then bring it back to dry. That's fine. You can do that. But the whole thing when you do that is that you're still losing the independent control over the vocal itself and the reverb sound. I like to shape my reverb sounds. Maybe even add some delay to the reverb or EQ that reverb, right? And the same with delayed channel effects and other time-based effects. You don't want to insert the processor directly on the track itself. Direct inserts should be reserved for dynamic and gain-based processors like EQs, compressors, gates, de-essers, other kind of processors like that. You don't want to put a reverb directly on the track, man, because for one, I don't want the track to be 100% reverbed out. I don't want it to be 100% delayed out. I don't want it to be 100% flanged out unless I do. Now, if I do, then I might do that if I'm going for some special effect. But in most cases, that's not the effect that I'm going for at all, and I'm losing control by doing that. And not only that, is that you're going to be taxing your computer so much more heavily, because instead of just having one or two reverb plugins that in your session that you could use as a send and return, you now have 15 or 20 or 30 effects on every single track, and it's not making the best use of your system resources. And it's not giving you the most flexibility in the mix. It's not giving you the control over the mix, which is what we want as engineers. We want the full control. I don't know about you, but I'm a control freak. Next up on my list of don't do's for the amateur is gonna be not redoing it. You know it ain't right. You knew it wasn't right. You can hear, I knew it. You can hear it. Why would you keep on going on? And I thought about this one once I opened up my session today, and I had a artist, right? And all the tracks was clipped, stuff was out of time. You knew that, right? You listen to music every single day. If it ain't right, do it over till it is. Don't rely on the mixer to fix it. Don't rely on the mixer to make your vision come to life. So yeah, I'm gonna mix it, I'm gonna do my best, but if you send me crap, when it comes out, it's still gonna be crap. Like a little bit less crappy, but it's still gonna be crappy, all right? So make sure that if you need to do it over, do it over. Y'all ain't all Jay-Z, God did. Y'all ain't all Jay-Z gonna one take Jake. If you mess up, do it over. It's okay. And if you're a true artist, you are a creator, you can do better. I don't never want to hear that excuse, especially when I'm working with an artist. Oh, that was my best take. I don't think I can do that over. So if it's clipped or whatever, we just gotta keep. No. You can do it. You did it once. You can do it better. You can perfect it. You can do it. You can do it. All right. So take this here. Know that for one, and I just had this talk with my daughter. She's 2 years old, but she was working on something and she was getting frustrated. Right. She was doing a puzzle and she was getting frustrated. The piece wouldn't fit in. So I was telling her, hey, you need to take your time and put it to somewhere else. Right. If it don't fit the first spot, try a different spot. Right? Now, granted, she's only 2 years old, but I was telling her, I was like, look, you got the audacity to think that you deserve to get it right the first time. There's people out here with Grammys and diamond records and all of that, and they know that they need to do it over until it's right. Don't just think that you God's gift to mixing and once you touch that EQ, then it's done. Do it over if you need to, okay? Because you need to first be honest with yourself, be honest with the results that you're getting, and do it over if you need to. Now, this next tip, this next mistake to avoid is gonna save y'all some money, man. And I'm talking about buying gear before you need it. Don't just let that money burn a hole in your pocket, right? That's what my mom used to say. That money must be burning a hole in your pocket. Because you're looking for stuff to buy, right? Instead of looking for problems to solve, right? So the only reason you should be buying a new plugin, buying a new piece of gear or whatever it is because you have a problem that you need to solve, not because you're marketed to. Make sure that you have a problem that you need to solve, and will this purchase help me to solve my problem? A lot of us just go out and buy stuff. We buying so many plugins, buying these gears and control surfaces, outboard compressors, preamps, all this stuff, and then we don't even know how to work it. Right? Or it's complicating our workflow, and it's taking us longer to get the job done. It's taking a whole convoluted route, and it's not even adding any value to the project or to the clients or anything else. Don't feel like you just need to go and buy something because they came out with this new fancy shiny plugin that you think you need. Don't think you need it. Wait until the music is calling for something, and then you go out and search for the tool that can help you achieve what you couldn't achieve with what you already have. Then that's the trigger for you to go buy something new, man. I'm telling you. I like new stuff too. I like new stuff too. I like the fly stuff. I want to try everything that's out there. But listen, a big amateur mistake is really going to be that you're buying too much stuff, you're spending too much money, you're running your business backwards. Before you even making money, you're spending the money, okay? And not only that, remember that gear, software, plugins should only serve one purpose. But it sometimes can serve two, right? It can serve one or two purposes. When you get it, it's either going to help to make you more efficient or help to make you less efficient. My next tip is for everybody out there who's ever plugged up a microphone, connected it to the interface, to the computer, to the speakers. It is so important. And when I was at Full Sail, this was one of the first things that they taught me was signal flow. Right now, granted, we were learning very complicated signal flow through like a analog console, the SSL 9000 signal flow, and then the whole analog studio. We had to learn it, learn all the different paths of circuitry and everything like that. I'm not suggesting that you go and learn the signal flow that far in depth. But you need to make sure you have a basic understanding of signal flow, because it's going to help you troubleshoot any problems that will arise in the studio. Not may, problems will arise. And a big part of being an audio engineer is being able to troubleshoot. So when problems come, knowing your signal flow, knowing, hey, where's the signal coming from? Where does the signal need to go? And tracing your steps that way and seeing, hey, maybe it's getting blocked up here. Maybe there's a distortion happening here. But that signal flow, and then also the signal flow of your analog gear from the microphone to the interface to the computer, right? And then from the DAW to the back to the interface, back to the speakers that you're listening to. That's one thing, but also know the signal flow in the DAW. Know how each insert processes in a series where one follows the other, right? And understand the signal flow and what's happening when you use a send and return. That signal flow is going to be super crucial, especially once you get off into more advanced, larger sessions. And the last tip that I'm gonna give y'all, man, it's really like a little bonus here, man, is not using alternate set of monitors. Don't just mix on that one set of monitors. They could be lying to you. They could be hiding things that you aren't seeing. Even if it's a high-end set of monitors. I got high-end monitors that I'm like, damn, they're missing certain details that my little boombox is gonna show me, right? It's gonna be more revealing. So keep in mind where the end user is going to experience your mix. Where are they going to experience your work? Is it going to be in headphones? Is it going to be in some earbuds? Is it going to be in a car? Right? Is it going to be on a little boombox, little mono Bluetooth radio? Whatever it is, you should probably have some type of monitoring system that helps you to emulate what the end user is going to experience, so that you know before you leave the studio, hey, this mix is going to work everywhere that is played. All right, so make sure that you are also always using an alternate set of monitors, whether that's going to be some headphones. I suggest some headphones and a boombox. If you're looking for a great pair of headphones to mix, look no further, man. The Wavy ones are available. They give you isolation so that you can block out the environment that you are in and actually hear the music. They're true to sound, flat frequency response across the whole spectrum, and the Wavy ones are available on my website. And that is my last tip, man. That's my last amateur mistake. I don't want to see y'all make none of those. What's some other amateur mistakes that you see people make? I would love to see them down in the comments below. Thanks for tapping in with me. Y'all be dope.